Are we finally filming this video? I think so. Hello guys, if you've never seen me before, my name is Celine. I currently live in Dubai. I'm 25 years old and I just like to think of myself as a big sister on here. So I talk about anything to do with that. Although I'm the youngest one in my family, I've lived in Paris, in Dubai, in LA, in New York, and again now in Dubai. And the most asked question I think I've ever received in my entire life is about my nose job. So let's finally get into it. First, let's do a little one side, the other side. Here's front. Granted, I do have makeup on right now, but if you want to see a before and after, it's coming. We're gonna go over my most frequently asked questions about my nose job. I've probably answered these at least 300 times. I get myself into 20-30 minute conversations and I say the same thing to every single person. So the goal is here, I'll have a video that answers every question you could have. I did vlog the entire thing, but I'm gonna put that in another video so you can see everything happening in real time. Now we're 2 years post-op, over 2 years post-op, and so I can really give you the whole breakdown. Don't forget to follow me on here so you can see everything I'm up to. Without further ado, let's get into my most asked questions about my nose job. First one is, where did I do it? I did it in Dubai, in Nova Med Center, and I did it with the famous, the well-loved, the well-known Dr. Yazbek. Great guy, great doctor. Before we get into too many details, let me show you a before and after right here. This was my surgery before and after. Obviously, the way it actually ended up settling in is just a little bit different, but generally so you can see. I want to talk a little bit about why I got a nose job because I know a lot of people are going to ask. People that I knew in my life were like, there's nothing wrong with your nose. You shouldn't do it. It's going to ruin your face. And what if it goes wrong? And blah, blah, blah. I never, ever, ever had the intention to do my nose because it would please somebody else. Like, nobody ever told me there was an issue with my nose, but I know, I mean, generally people wouldn't tell you that. And the surgery picture, it looks a little bit intense, but this is what it looked like before just hanging out, and also before lip fillers. Keep that in mind, it's important. I was, you know, starting this new chapter in my life. I'd always wanted it, literally as long as I could remember, because when I was a kid, I would be hitting my nose on so many things. Like, it was already a little crooked, and then on top of it, you have basketballs, footballs, my sister slamming me into garage doors. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I never had any nosebleeds in my life, so there was always just something a little off about my nose. And thankfully, since the nose job, also never had a nosebleed. I wanted it because I was so deeply insecure about it. No matter how much I tried to love my nose, I just couldn't. I could not stand when someone would be to the side of me trying to take a photo. Like, if you weren't straight on, you're not taking a photo of me. I was consistently obsessed with editing my face to see what I would look like with a nose job. I didn't really mind my front profile, as you might call it. It was just a little bit droopy. It was the side. It was even 3/4. This was probably my worst angle, and I just felt like it ruined my entire face. So actually I thought about it when I was living in LA, when I was living in New York, and when I moved back to Dubai after. And honestly, every single person I saw who had a nose job done in LA, I was not a fan. They say that Lebanese have a type of nose. I think LA people have a type of nose, and it was definitely not something that I was interested to get. I wanted someone who was good at fitting the nose to your face rather than you show them like a picture of Wolfie Cindy, like everyone literally does, or Ariana Grande, and saying, I want this nose. That wasn't the way I wanted to approach it. In LA, I met with Dr. Gavami. Horrible vibes from him, and also I didn't like his work in general. Big tip I have is that you see what he's done for other people. More than just one person, you look at several other people, because if he's just copying and pasting the same nose on each person, I don't think that's a good doctor, in my opinion. I also did see one in New York, but his was like $23,000, something like that, and I just think that is so much money. Like, of course it's your face, it's plastic surgery, you should not go budget, you should not look for a Groupon or like a discount code, but that being said, it is New York City and the prices are just astronomical. So I did not want to go do it in New York in general. Then when I was here in Dubai during COVID, it just felt like COVID would be the best time to do it because it's not like there's much going on anyways. I had school, uni at the time. I was finishing Parsons from Dubai and I just thought, why not? So I started looking for doctors probably around like January of 2021. I met with one and he seemed pretty good. My dad went with me to the consultation, but the thing was with him is that he felt like a salesperson. My dad was just like, I don't trust him. And that's another tip I have. It's like, go with your gut, trust your gut. Like, maybe you even like their work, but if your gut is telling you that maybe it's not the right one, then just don't risk it. It's not worth it. Normally when you go for a consultation, they always charge you here, I think it's about 500 dirhams. For most places, they'll charge you that just to meet with the doctor. And if you end up doing your surgery with him, it'll be deducted from the total cost. It's a bit annoying, but at the same time it makes sense because doctors would just be fully booked with consultations of people who would never actually go do their nose if there wasn't like a price to pay for it. From my research, a lot of the doctors here were gonna charge between like 20,000 to maybe 50,000 dirhams for an original rhinoplasty. If you are doing a revision, it's always gonna cost more, just so you guys keep that in mind. If you're doing your first rhinoplasty ever, then it should be within that range. I know it's a big range, but that's just so you know. For me, it was like, it's a little bit tough because you're paying for a premium, like you're paying to be in Dubai in these centers. They have a fixed price, so there's not really much flexibility and the doctor can't really do much for you, you know what I'm saying? Before I go into the entire process, I want to say that my surgery was on June 28th, 2021, I believe. 28th or 29th, something like that. And the cost for the surgery at the time, with everything included, bed in the hospital and the medicine and blah blah blah, was 40,000 dirhams on the dot. But this was 2 years ago, and I know that he's gained some popularity since then, so I don't know if those are still his prices, but that is how much I paid. And of course, no discount, no nothing. I end up finding Dr. Paul. I don't know where I first saw him. I probably just found him on Instagram at some point. All of my ads on Instagram were different plastic surgeons. I actually was hesitant to get a Lebanese doctor because so many people told me that they all do the same copy-paste nose, but I was like, you know what, let me see his work. So I end up scrolling through his profile, and at the time, like, he had a few, but I wanted to see their full faces because it's kind of hard to tell when it's just the before and after of the nose, how well the nose fits the face. But I did some deep diving and I saw that like he did his noses a little bit different for every person. He was taking into account people's face shape and things like that, which really mattered to me. I paid 500 dirhams for the consultation. I met him at Novamed in Marina. That's where the office is. He's based between Beirut and Dubai, but when he's in Dubai, he works with Novamed. He did a little simulation of what my nose might look like. If I have a photo, I'm gonna put it right here, which is kind of crazy because it ended up looking, I think, even better than what he even created. I felt good about him. He was not a salesperson. He was very quiet, actually, and I kind of wanted more information. I wanted to ask him, like, what do you think my case is? What do you think, you know, the proportions? How do you think you want to do it? He's like, don't worry. Don't worry. I know what to do. I'm like, okay, but can you give me a little bit of comfort? Because I didn't show him any reference photos, I didn't do anything. And apparently doctors hate when you show reference images, by the way, because like they're not gonna make it that way. Yeah, I was kind of nervous. I was like, okay, well, like, are you sure? Do you know what I like? And blah, blah, blah. Like, I want something that fits my face. And then he was like, yeah, it's simple. Your nose is very masculine, where you have very feminine features. So we're just gonna make your nose feminine. We're not gonna make it too small for your face. We're not gonna change it completely. He, at the time, said he was not gonna move my nostrils, but he ended up moving them in surgery. He said, you know, I take my measurements. I have the way that I calculate it. And yeah, that's it. And I was like, it was kind of nerve-wracking. So, you know what? I let it go for a few months. I just let it go. I had a lot going on in life in general anyway. And one day, like 6 months later in June, I texted again and I was like, when's the next time Dr. Paul will be in Dubai? And they told me he was coming in like 3 days and he has like 3 days of appointments. And so I was like, okay, let me just go see him one more time with my dad and let's see if I should do this or not. So I went one more time. My dad came with me. Again, he was so quiet. He was so chill. He was like, yeah, you know, I have an open slot, like if you want it. And it was just so nonchalant. It kind of in a weird way calmed me down. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the way that he was so chill about it, I was like, oh, I guess it's just not that big of a deal then. Okay. I end up scheduling my nose job 2 days in advance. Yeah. Crazy. That was, I think, a Sunday, and my surgery was scheduled for Tuesday. So Monday meant that I had my anesthesiologist appointment because I don't know, they need to see you, you need to fill in like your weight, if you're allergic to anything, blah, blah, blah. And then the next day is surgery, 7 a.m. I was so nervous, but so excited at the same time. Like, you just feel it inside you that it's gonna be right. Of course, there's a little bit of, what if, you know, it's not perfect? What if there's something a little bit off? But you just have to shake that off. Like, honestly, you have to be willing to take that risk if you're gonna do surgery, because you either do it or you don't. You can't do it halfway. You just have to take the leap, and you have to feel good about it when you're doing it, and don't manifest something negative. I told as little people as possible at the time, not because I was ashamed of it. Like, literally, I'm making a YouTube video about it now and I post about it all the time, but because I didn't want anyone to send me like worried vibes or negative vibes, like manifesting something to go wrong. Like, I couldn't handle that. I was actually super nervous on Monday when I went in for the anesthesiologist appointment. I'll never forget this. I was sitting there and I was like, give me a sign that this is the right thing to do and that like I will love it and I will not regret it, etc., etc. And the anesthesiologist pops out and he goes, hello, I'm Dr. Ra'id. For those of you who don't know, Ra'id is my dad's name. For me, it's just a super rare name to hear. I don't really hear of people named Ra'id. So the fact that my anesthesiologist was named Ra'id and I had just asked, like, give me a sign, that was my sign. 7 a.m. is my surgery, and I took a million videos in the car. My dad was so nervous for me, but he was trying not to show it. I just had this feeling that it was gonna go well. And what's so funny is when I woke up that morning, my nose wasn't super swollen. And normally it is, like my nose swells so much. So it didn't look that bad, but I was trying to take videos on all the angles that I absolutely hated so you could see it. He tells me it's probably gonna take about 3 hours. I take off everything. You can have nail polish, you can have earrings in, you have to take all of that off before they take you in, and the anesthesiologist does his thing. Dude, I remember them rolling me in there, and I was fully in the operating room awake, and I was like, you guys, I don't want to see any of this. I don't want to be here. I'm like, I'm still awake. They're like, yeah, don't. They're ignoring me. And then eventually I disappear. I fall asleep. I don't know what happens. I wake up in a room and my dad is there and he's just staring at me. I told him to take a video and I was just there like, I feel so good. This feels so amazing. It doesn't even hurt. Little did I know I was higher than the clouds. I stayed in the hospital for like a few hours. The doctor went in and he did another nose job after mine. I was actually just refreshing Instagram, just checking on like if he was gonna post on his story, because he always posts it. And then I saw it on his story for the first time, because keep in mind, obviously my face is completely wrapped up. I don't even know what it looks like. So I saw it on his Instagram story and I screenshot it, and that's what I was sending to like my friends and my family and stuff. And I was like, that's what it looks like under all this. When he finished his neck surgery, he came in to my room and he just walks in, he goes, "Ftahi airdrop." He just airdrops me all my videos, like the before and right after he was done, because obviously right after he's done there's no swelling yet, so you can get the best idea of how your profile is gonna look. If you get squeamish, like, don't look, but this is it. I was so happy. I like didn't feel any pain. Like, these meds were strong, whatever I was on. Then I went home that evening, probably like by 6 p.m. So it was the whole thing. I was there for like 12 hours, and obviously I had to just rest. You have to sleep a little bit elevated, take your antibiotics and a few other medicines that they give you. They'll tell you what to do and when. I don't remember. Okay, after you go home, you have your nose stuffed with this gauze, and it's casted, and you have like a gauze that runs under your nose to catch any blood that falls. I didn't bleed at all. But like I said, like, I never got nosebleeds and stuff. Like, I'm not prone to bleeding. It has nothing to do with the doctor. It depends on you and your nose and your body. I bled like a little bit at the beginning, but it was just like dry blood from like the gauze. I stopped wearing that thing around here because I didn't need it. You have to obviously clean your nose, clean the stitches with like salt water and things like that. They'll teach you all of those details, and you guys will see it in my vlog. I kind of forgot what I had to do now. When those pain meds wore off, the first night I went home, I slept fine. The next day I was okay until the evening. I have never felt pain like this in my life. I went home from the doctors and he said those 2 days would be the most painful. All they gave me was Panadol Advance. In the US, they would give you the strongest painkillers known to man. Here, I got Panadol. If you're gonna go do your nose, make sure that you're gonna get some actual strong pain medications, because this is the biggest, worst pain I felt in my life. I'll show you some clips of me back then. You can see the pain in my face. Yeah, it was bad. But 2 days later, I go back to Dr. Paul, and this is when he takes out my gauze. Luckily or unluckily for me, I had sneezed that morning. So unbelievably painful. These gauze things are like kind of stuck in your nose. When they pull them out, that's supposed to be the most painful part of the healing process. Mine were already loose. They were already good. So he pulled them out. It was the strangest, weirdest feeling I've ever felt. Yeah, the worst was over at that point. I filmed all of this, and you'll see it in the vlog. You need strong painkillers for those first 2 days. Before I left his office that day, I said, I'm not leaving without strong pain medicine. And he was like, the worst part is over. I was like, I don't care. I'm not risking it. I want them. And it took him like 30 minutes on the phone with DHA, and he approved me for 5% codeine pill. Like, it's nothing. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. After 2 days, you take out the gauze. Most painful thing ever is over. And then after 7 days, you go back and you take off the cast. So there's still a cast on your nose, and over those 7 days, your nose is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the cast is almost loose at one point. So you go in and they take it off slowly, and it's the first time you get to see your nose. Like, it's your nose reveal. The doctor warned me. It wasn't Dr. Paul at this time, it was another one. She kept warning me, like, it's gonna look like an eggplant, you're not gonna like it, it's very swollen, so don't worry, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't care, anything is better than the nose that I had. And that's a mentality you need to have as well. So they took it off, and I was so happy with it.
Oh, it's swollen, huh? No, it looks amazing.
But looking back at it now, I was like, oh my god, it does look like an eggplant. So my bruising stayed for like 2 to 3 weeks, but after the first like 10 days, it was really easy to cover with makeup, so nothing major. I would say the swelling in general reduced a ton by December, so 6 months. It was a completely different nose. But again, each week you can see the progress, and you just like it more and more and more and more. So to me, the whole thing is just amazing. Like, I was confident with it. I didn't think, oh my god, it's too swollen, blah blah blah. I was taping it all the time. Dr. Paul told me I didn't have to do it, but I researched a bunch on YouTube, and I saw doctors showing you how to do it at home, and to me, I think it really helped reduce my swelling. I highly recommend that you tape your nose. I think I taped it for a year and a half. Not every single day, but frequently. And also it's helpful because your tip drops a lot because of gravity once your nose is healed. So if you don't want your tip to drop a lot, like when you tape it in a specific way, I can make another video and show you guys how to tape it. It's gonna make sure that your nose stays nice and perky. I'll still tape it from time to time. When I reached a point where I felt like I didn't have to tape it anymore, and my nose khalas is at its maximum potential, like this is how it's gonna look, it was probably after like 14 months, I would say. Like, most people tell you it takes a year to a year and a half. The tip is the last part to de-swell. So even today, like if I tape it, it'll be smaller tomorrow. I'll still tape it every now and then, but it's really like once a month. So let's talk about the products that I needed. You need SPF 50+. It was summer as well, and I was planning to go to Paris, to Mykonos, to New York, to all these places, so I definitely needed to make sure to protect my nose. At the time, I was using the La Roche-Posay SPF 50. I think it was the Anthelios. It was a very thin one, so it was super easy to put all over my face, but I got all kinds and forms and put them in every single bag I have, because you cannot forget to apply and reapply. The last thing you want is any kind of scarring or discoloration on your nose while it's healing. The next thing I picked up was a silicone based scar cream. If you look at my nose, I swear I have zero scarring. Like I told you, he ended up opening up my nostrils and moving them, but here in the middle, like here when I go like this, you can see, but otherwise, like, you would literally never be able to see them. Also, it's more obvious when you have makeup on, because like the makeup doesn't sit right in there. Here, you cannot see a scar. I never missed an application of anything. So you're gonna wanna get a zip up hoodie. Just so easy to zip on, zip off. Like, you don't wanna have to worry about anything going over your head or things like that. You're gonna wanna get arnica. Like, my bruising was pretty bad, but I do bruise pretty easily. You can start taking arnica pills before. I didn't do that But if you do, apparently it really helps minimize the bruising. Pineapple juice and eating pineapples really helps with swelling. I don't know. What you do want to get as well is micropore tape. That's just to tape up your nose. Let's wrap it up now. Some last tips and advice I want to give you is you're gonna feel so ugly when you do it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You're gonna feel so ugly. Your face is gonna be so swollen. You're gonna feel like you look like an alien or like a pig or something. It's completely normal. Surround yourself with people you love and that love you. I had a really great support system that just made me forget completely about the way that I looked and made me feel so beautiful and ready to heal and take on the world and start this new chapter of my life. So that is so important to have. Try not to stay on your phone and in bed all day. You know, try to sit around people you love. Can't be wearing sunglasses, so don't even try that. Even at the time, it was like mask life. So I couldn't have it on my nose. So I would tape my nose and put my mask so people realized that like I'm not wearing my mask on top of my nose because I have a nose job. Don't worry, each day is literally gonna get better. The worst time is the day after your surgery. Once you get past that, it's just gonna keep getting better. Also, you're gonna wanna prepare some like ice gel packs because it's just gonna soothe you when you're swelling like crazy. That's about it. Generally, guys, this nose job was the best decision I've ever made. I'm so happy that I did it. It's completely changed my confidence. Literally nose job plus lip fillers and I'm a completely different person. I look at old videos and I almost don't recognize myself. Also, I've grown so much, you know, since graduating uni to now. So it makes sense that, you know, I feel like a completely different person. I would do it again 100%, even if it was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. Completely worth it to me. Again, keep in mind that it has to be worth it to you. It needs to be something you want so desperately and so badly that no obstacle will get you down. That's my entire nose job experience. Thank you guys so much. If you have any more questions and I managed to not answer one, please comment it down below. Again, here are my socials. And definitely subscribe for when I drop my nose job vlog from all that footage years ago. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time.